and welcome to another cup of coffee. Today I have got another one of my artists. Well, when I say my artist, not really my artist, but a friend of mine who has got a very different kind of art, one that I haven't come across before. Well, I've seen it, but I haven't come across it. So I'm going to introduce you to Barbara, and she is a pet artist, but she uses pencil. So I am going to introduce you. Hello, Barbara, and how are you?
Hello, Sandy. I'm fine. I hope you're well.
Yes, all is good, thank you. And I can see you've got a wonderful background, and we're going to talk about that shortly. But in the meantime, to begin with, I'm just going to say, let's go back in your life because you have had rather an interesting life. Check it a little bit, but haven't we all?
Yes.
You are a Lancashire lass, aren't you?
Yes, originally from, I used to say Manchester because nobody had ever heard of Salford, but now BBC have made Salford very famous. So I can now say I was born and bred in Salford, Lancashire.
Lancashire, okay. You don't have a Lancashire accent, though.
Well, I left Lancashire when I was 20 to go and live in the Channel Islands in Jersey and get married. And then later came to Spain. So maybe the Lancashire accent has gone until I start talking to my cousins.
It's the same as me. When I go to South Africa, they say to me, "My goodness, you've got such an English accent." And yet when I'm here, I've got very much a South African accent, which I have never, ever lost. But that is life. So from Salford, what did you do when you left school?
Well, I went to Broughton High School for Girls, and later on I went on to Manchester College of Art and Design. And from Manchester Art and Design, I went to live in Jersey, where I was going to be married. And from there, I went and did what I enjoyed doing, which was working with fabrics and garments and working in a workroom in quite a nice, what they used to call a gown shop in those days. And then later, I carried on learning a bit more about dressmaking, and eventually I worked for myself, dressmaking in Jersey.
What did you learn there? What did you study there?
Well, I went to study dress design.
Aha. So that was your immediate passion, was dress design.
I had to earn a living if I was going to go to art school, as I got told very many times. It has to be something that had a job at the end of it. And that's what I chose to do, although I would have really just liked to carry on just doing painting and drawing. But
so you were actually drawing and painting really when you were very young?
Well, yes, as a child, I was always doing arty crafty things. I used to make little bonnets and things for my dolls and skirts, and just like most little girls did in those days, because we didn't have televisions to keep us amused.
And when did you come to Spain?
We decided we wanted a change of life, and we came to Spain in 1983. Okay. My husband, I, and my son, who was 14 at the time. And we bought a finca, a ruin, which we turned into a 2-story house, just keeping the 4 walls that was on the ground. And things evolved from there. I eventually decided to open a shop in Nerja. I'd been working for a friend, and then that business developed, and I decided I wanted to start my own. And I had a little dress shop where I bought stock and I made and I altered, and kept me busy for 10 years.
You were in Nerja, and there you were in really the fashion end of life again, with a shop, dressmaking, alterations, and selling clothes. Obviously, that changed in your life, and then you decided that you wanted to go back to your first love, which really was using pencil and paper.
Yes. we finally moved to a place called Chicana de la Frontera in Cadiz. And I had the opportunity to start drawing and painting again. I had already joined a Spanish art group, and then I carried that on in Chicana. I found another Spanish art group and was intrigued to see that they were still very, very keen on using oil paints, which I hadn't had a lot of opportunity to use. When designing at college, we used inks, coloured inks to do our designs with. And I enjoyed that art college, that art school, and the things I learned there very much. And also Chicana was a very beautiful place. And we used to go out and paint outside, very libre, and that was very enjoyable too. So I eventually just levitated back to painting again and really enjoyed it. And then some friends asked me if I'd come and teach at this little art group, which they had. So I did that as well.
And did you speak Spanish when you
Oh, yes.
Were down in Cadiz?
Yes,
and
yes.
at art school,
Yes.
you were...
It was all Spanish, yes.
It's all Spanish, so your Spanish is like a native.
Well, I grew up with my Spanish. I did some classes before we came on the journey to Spain.
Clever lady. So many of us didn't do that and struggle, and the older you get, the more difficult it is to speak the language. Anyway, let's go back, and I see so many wonderful pictures behind you, and I'm going to ask you, first of all, are you now specializing or homing in on pencil?
They are pencils, but they are pastel pencils, which are very soft. It's not lead pencils, it's coloured pencils, but it's pastel. And these then are pastel sticks, which also come into the equation, which are rather chunky. So I use those mainly for backgrounds. But when I started to be asked to paint animals, people's pets, of course I was using paint, but it took a long time. And really, people don't have a lot of money to spend on having an oil painting. So I tried to develop something that was going to be more economical. And that's when I gravitated towards pastels and pastel pencils, because you don't have a drying time, and you don't have to buy canvases, which sometimes you get cheap ones, sometimes you have to pay very expensive, for very lot of money for canvases. With pastels, you mainly use card or paper, which is like a very, very fine sandpaper, but it comes tinted. You've got different colours. And again, I moved from a rather floppy paper to a much stiffer paper because I became more experienced in what was required. So it is a much more economical way of developing and painting something. We still call it painting, even though there can be a little bit of liquid involved, but I don't involve liquid. But it's still, technically, they call it painting.
It is still called painting, even though it is with pencil, although it's not lead pencil, it's a soft pencil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And now your first painting was of what pet? Because I know that you specialize in pets mainly, and although you've got other things behind you, so tell me about your first pet.
Some people asked me to paint a friend's 3 dogs because she was going to be leaving and they wanted to give her a present to take back to the UK. And they chose 3 dogs that she had, and they had photographs of without having to ask her for the photographs. Unfortunately, one of the dogs had already passed, but I did that in oils, and that's where I learned my lesson, because people ask you for a quote straight away before you actually put paint to canvas. So that's where the idea of having to change what I was going to be doing. And I really enjoyed this. And then another friend asked me to paint their dog, which again, I did in oils. So I did that in my art class. So that wasn't what I didn't consider it working time. And of course they were friends. But it still starts little chords going in your head, deciding how you're going to do it, if other people are going to ask you. And that's when I started looking at videos and buying books and learning about pastels. After all, they're nothing new. They're very old, actually, pastels.
Okay. Now, how long does it take you to do, how long did it take you to do your first one, for instance?
Oh, well, that was an oil painting, so it probably took me something like 40 or 50 hours because of the waiting time for drying as well.
And the pencil ones, your pastels,
oh,
how long do they take?
Probably an A4 is probably about 10 hours work. I don't sit for 10 hours. I cannot sit upright or leaning over or anything like that. So I just do an hour at a time. And I don't charge by the hour really, if I'm going to be charging people. It's a matter of the size and the amount of subjects.
Okay. Now behind you, we have got lots to talk about. To my left, which is probably your right, I can see it's an archway. Where is that? And what kind of background paper did you use for that?
That's an acrylic painting.
Okay.
Acrylic paint. And that was painted in Chiclana, because around Chiclana there are a lot of bodegas, the wine cellars. And I became fascinated with them, and I used to go on trips with groups of other friends or just on our own, go in the car to Jerez and go to one of the bodegas there. And I just got fascinated with them and took lots of photographs, and I started doing paintings of bodegas. These are...
The other side, you have got the other side, which is my right, your left. It's also from the same period, because yes, it also looks like it's an archway, and it could be also bodega, because I see the light color maybe could be the wooden vats. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yes, it's the barrels.
Yes.
The paintings I did of the bodegas always have a cat or a dog in them.
It's funny, I've got another friend who is an amazing painter. He's very well known, and he's a naive painter. And whenever he finishes a painting, I look for his little dachshund, his dog. Mm-hmm. Now, what have you got in pencil that you can actually show me that you have done?
Oh, well, this is my old friend Hugo. Can you see
that? That's absolutely beautiful. Now,
yeah, unfortunately, Hugo passed away about 2 years ago now.
And he was yours?
No, he was my friend's, but I was his grandma.
And I have a feeling that you may have a mug, as I have got a mug of Kyros. You may have a mug for a cup of coffee.
I have a mug of Hugo.
Of Hugo. Yes. So we both have got a cup of coffee with things that we love.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was done purely with your soft pencil?
Yes, that is with all this is pencils.
A little higher.
And the background.
A little higher. Thank you.
And the background is with the sticks, pastel sticks.
Okay, okay. And that is on white paper to begin with?
No, this was on grey paper.
Okay. It looks like it's what?
Sometimes I leave the paper clear.
Yeah.
But, other times I put a colour on. So
okay.
It really depends what people prefer.
Right. And what we've got a painting on your easel there that I can see partially. And that looks like a very beautiful young lady. Ah, look at those eyes. Oh my goodness. Have you got a penchant for eyes? They really stand out. They did with Hugo, and now this lady as well.
This is a young lady I've known since she was about 3 weeks old. And she's a friend of mine. And this is an example of how a size A4 would be finished. I always put a mount on, the passe-partout or mount, and this doesn't have a background. This is the paper that I painted on, and this is all pencils.
That is incredible. Just look at the hair. The hair has got the light and the dark shades. It's just magic. And also the face. The face has got different tones. You can see that she's got a blusher on, a light blusher. And the eyes for me just say, hello, I'm here. You are one very special lady with a pen, a pencil. Now, that took you how long?
Well, that was a leisurely one. It was just something I just wanted to do, so I did it. I suppose it would be again around 10 hours altogether.
That's wonderful. When people are watching this and they see what you can do both with animals, with pets, because I know you as Barbara, the pet painter.
Don't say the doggy lady.
No, I know you as the pet painter because I didn't know what else you did on pets, and I see that there are pets behind you, and they don't look like dogs. They may be. Are they directly behind you?
Yes, they are.
Ah,
meerkats.
Meerkats. I thought so.
Yeah. That's my own painting, which I did for myself many years ago, probably around about 2008.
Okay.
The meerkats.
Okay. If people who are watching this have got pets and think, my goodness me, that makes a wonderful present, either for ourselves or for somebody else, where would they find you?
I'm on Facebook, Barbara Mary Pet Portrait Artist. And I also have a website, which is 3Ws pet-portraitart.com.
Okay.
Website has examples, prices, sizes, everything's on there.
Okay. And the spelling of Mary, is it Marie? Is it the Spanish way?
It's Mary, yes. My late husband was from a French family, so it's actually my surname. It's not a second.
Okay, so it's Barbara Mary Pet Artist.
Pet Portrait Artist.
Pet Portrait. Okay, so we have got it. Well, we have seen what you can do. We have seen how you started off in Cadiz with your not pen, but oils and paint. And then you have progressed to just pencil. And now, are you going to continue just on pencil? Is that the method that you feel happiest with?
Yes, it's what I've progressed to. And now, because I don't have a proper studio, it's the most convenient way. And I'm really happy with the way it produces such a lovely portrait at the end of the day. So why change something that's not broken, as I say?
Exactly. That I can quite agree with. I want to tell you, this has been wonderful. And I think that your work is quite amazing. I don't know how you get the different shades, but that is the artist in you. And I say thank you for sharing a cup of coffee with me, with Hugo, and with me, with Tuna. And I say thank you, and I look forward to seeing you and what you have done in the future. And to my guests, I don't know who I've got next time. To my viewers, I say I'm always a surprise because I never know ahead of time. You never know who picks up the phone and says to me, Sandy, can we be on your program? Or they send me a message. So any budding artists, if you want to be on Cup of Coffee, please contact me on Facebook or on Instagram or all the platforms. And again, soon I will be back on Air TV International. So to everyone, including you, Barbara, I say Bye-bye, and thank you so much for being my
Bye-bye.
guest
Thank you,
today.
Sandy. Thank you very
Pleasure.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.